Lobbying for the next ANC president has already started. According to some political analysts, they believe that the battle lines, alliance and factions will dominate the upcoming elective conference. Let's get some perspective now. Political analyst Sandile Swana joining me for this discussion. Mr. Swana, thank you very much for your time. I'm going to start with what is dominating the public discourse right now, and those are the articles, opinion pieces that are being written by the Minister of Tourism and ANC NEC member, Lindiwe Sisulu. Many analysts saying that this is purely a ploy for her to launch her presidential campaign. Do you share that view before we draw deeper into the road to December 2022?
Yes, I think she has, and she has stimulated a lot of people into discussion. Absolutely, she has launched it quite powerfully.
Sure. And so having launched this particular campaign, she obviously brings into the picture the other person who is closely watched this week, particularly by journalists who will salivate at the opportunity to doorstop him and ask the question, are you going to remove your Minister of Tourism? But some political analysts holding the view that if the president does act against Lindiwe Sisulu, he might indirectly make her the victim and therefore allow for Lindiwe Sisulu to be seen as a victim, and therefore the campaign, her campaign, gains momentum.
Yes, I think Cyril Ramaphosa has read the game well. At about 8 this morning, using Twitter, he has issued a very general statement about that we must protect the Constitution, etc. So basically, he has responded to both the request, I suppose, by Acting Justice, Chief Justice Zondo, and the articles by Lindiwe Sisulu in one Twitter. And I suppose the technology of today has helped him to escape this. Otherwise, it would have just been a quagmire for him. And I think he's done a good job of it.
Yeah, but it doesn't take away his responsibility, though, Mr. Swana, and that is to say my cabinet is not split in half, so to speak, or my cabinet is still very much intact and is able to deliver the job of serving the people of South Africa. And where I'm going with this, it's simply about, in an election year, the ANC divisions, they become so clear for all to see that it actually starts affecting the work of government. Might President Cyril Ramaphosa be able to put a lead on that, that while party political issues are ongoing, the work of government must not be distracted?
You know, unfortunately, all of us, we tend to spoil this whole thing. Because if you will remember, Thabo Mbeki used to do this, where he would deal with government business and then changed into the ANC magazine space and write as an activist.
Yeah.
Even on local issues and on Pan-African issues, because he had a lot of personal views that he had accumulated over many years that he still wanted to air. And Sisulu tried to do this by saying, I'm writing these things in that context of an activist, context of my ANC office, not as a cabinet minister. And people wanted to shift this thing into the cabinet for whatever reason, and that has happened. But let me also add that in a healthy country, in a healthy state, the Director General and his staff should know what to do by now, and they should be busy with it on a daily basis, not waiting for the minister. The budget is there, the plans are approved, the predetermined performance plan is approved. Everything is there for them. On a day-to-day basis, they know what to do. And Lindiwe Sisulu is a politician, and she must do political work, and that political work has got many dimensions.
Yeah. How much of an impact will the state capture installment of reports. And I'm using this word laughing at the same time, because these reports, the final reports of the Zondo Commission, as they come out, they do look like they are going to be dominating the public space all the way up until this conference takes place. Gwede Mantashe, on record, as saying that let's not use the Zondo Commission reports or findings as a way to bash each other. If anything, let's try to learn and take lessons and try and unite the party. I'm saying, or I'm raising the Zondo Commission report purposefully because in a discussion I've just had, the minutes of the ANC deployment committee, which at some point was chaired by President Cyril Ramaphosa in his capacity as deputy president of the party, it does appear that he lied to the Zondo Commission and therefore to the public that discussions around who could possibly be appointed as a judge were never things that were discussed. How is that likely to impact on him? Because some people will say this is likely to affect the so-called RET faction, which would comprise people like former President Jacob Zuma, Ace Magashule and the like, whereas the other faction will be seen as clean. However, the Zondo Commission might actually come out against Ramaphosa himself.
Yeah, I think if we're sincere, all of us have known that there's no such thing as a clean faction in the ANC. The CR17 faction was corrupt, and the ND17 faction was also corrupt. The DA, you will be aware that the DA is putting some effort of forcing the ANC to release all the minutes of the meetings, the deployment committee meetings that Cyril Ramaphosa chaired, of which now they know, obviously they have some background information that Cyril is implicated in this. So the Zondo Commission report is giving all political players ammunition. And unfortunately, the Zondo Commission report has findings against ANC members. So the people who are going to be victims of this report are the ANC members. And this suggestion by Gwede Mantashe that this report must be used to build the ANC, good as it is, there's a part of it that is totally impossible, because this report is out there and various institutions of accountability are already going to take action independently of any advice that Gwede Mantashe might want to give to them. They're not going to listen to him. So the members of the ANC who are in this report, including Cyril Ramaphosa, are going to be in for a high jump, not only from the factions of the ANC, but from everybody who's in the political arena and the civic organizations.
It looks like we're in for very interesting times. Let me conclude the conversation and talk about us, the so-called Fourth Estate, the media fraternity. How do we cover these events without being mired and being seen as favoring one faction over the other, which has been, by the way, the talk on the streets of social media platforms? Journalists, if you report in this way, we've always known that you are a faction of the so-called CR22 right now. Well, we've known that journalist to be betting for the RET faction. How do we conduct ourselves?
I don't think journalism is different from any other form of scholarship or people who handle professions that handle information. Because the only way that we can deal with these issues is through sticking to the facts and sticking also to well-known bodies, well-established bodies of knowledge. Now, what I want to just say to you, you may be concerned about this. I did an interview last week, I think it was Monday. Within 5 minutes, I was phoned by one of the top 6 of the ANC to substantiate what I had said. So, on radio. So, all that is there is that all journalists have got to stick to scientific rigor, stick to the facts, and new ideas. If somebody makes a statement, for instance, a statement that is in literature, such as the house nigger, is there really anywhere in literature that such a thing exists? Are there any scholars who've used this concept, and how is it used? So to me, that is that there is a backlash right now because the largest party in the country, the ruling party in the country, is on the sick bed, if you want to put it that way, and is threatened to lose power within 24 months. And there will be many backlashes, especially from the ruling party, just like they did in Zimbabwe and elsewhere. So the journalists have got to be as scientific and as accurate as possible. That's all I can advise. Thank you.
That is Sandile Swana, political analyst. Thank you very much for that sage advice. Stick to the facts and talk to institutions of knowledge. These are people that will advise us as we cover the road towards December 2022. That's when the ANC is expected to have its elective conference.